Updated December 20, 2018, 16 hours 19 minutes and 12 seconds video. Donald Trump announces U.S. withdrawal from Syria. ABC News. We have defeated ISIS in Syria. Donald Trump has tweeted, could this be the U.S. president's mission accomplished moment? In May 2003, then-President George W. Bush landed in a fighter jet on a U.S. aircraft carrier and declared, major combat operations in Iraq have ended. That became a symbol of strategic blunder, and a moment Mr. Bush now regrets. According to many analysts, the Islamic State group is not defeated, no matter what the current U.S. president tweets. For the past year, the territory controlled by IS has been shrinking, including this week when Syrian Democratic Forces (SDF) penetrated Hajin, the last major town under his control. But in more than a year since they lost control of their de facto capital Raqqa, the U.S. and its Kurdish allies in Syria have been slow to dislodge IS from its last strongholds near the Iraqi border. And in Iraq, where victory against IS was declared nearly 2 years ago, the group persists, assassinating local leaders and staging the occasional daring raid on towns where government forces are weak. Overnight, the Pentagon appeared to openly disagree with the president's assessment. Chief Department of Defense spokesperson Dana White issued a statement within hours of Mr. Trump's declaration. The coalition has liberated the ISIS-held territory, but the campaign against ISIS is not over, Ms. White said. Britain's junior defense minister, America's closest ally in this fight, also tweeted bluntly in response to the U.S. president, I strongly disagree. Even a senior Trump administration official in a briefing call to reporters admitted, we are under no illusions that means ISIS writ large has, or the scourge of Sunni radical terrorism has in some way gone away. That advisor then resorted to the fallback defense of Mr. Trump's decision, that America has destroyed the territorial caliphate. Very specifically, he added that the counterterrorism mission goes on, it is in Libya. It's in Sinai. According to some analysts, it began and remains where U.S. troops are now vacating. If anything, it'll give us a breather. There are still several thousand ISIS fighters astride both Syria and Iraq. Former advisor to the U.S. military strategist and counterinsurgency expert David Kilcullen told ABC News, remember, this is a group that grew from an insurgent organization and basically just dropped back below the radar to guerrilla mode. They can effectively sustain that forever. To describe them as defeated is at best wishful thinking. If anything, the U.S. withdrawal will give us a short-term breather. Mr. Kilcullen believes there's a significant political advantage to ISIS now because with the U.S. pulling out and the Syrian Democratic Forces (SDF) likely to come under significant pressure from the Turks in the next month or two, ISIS is going to be the last remaining anti-Assad organization in the country along with another group which is an al-Qaeda ally, he said. The SDF is the Kurdish-dominated militia that, with the aid of U.S. airstrikes, has led the fight against IS in Syria. It is allied to the Kurdish Workers' Party, which has run a decades-long insurgency and terror campaign in neighboring Turkey. U.S. support for the group has enraged Turkey's President, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who has flagged a new military operation to attack the Kurds in Syria. Just last week, Mr. Trump and Mr. Erdogan agreed to a multi-billion-dollar arms sale. If the U.S. is indeed withdrawing, the Kurds may be left to fend for themselves. Mr. Kilcullen is very clear in his view that the West, countries like Australia which is part of the U.S. coalition in Syria, owe a moral debt to the Kurds for the support they've given us over the years. However, he also believes the desire by the Kurds for an independent state has been deeply destabilizing to the region. Trump under fire on multiple fronts before making the decision to pull out of Syria. Mr. Trump received his daily intelligence briefing about midday, local time. He then sat down to lunch with his Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Afterwards, he got to work tweeting about Mexico paying for the wall, indirectly, through his new trade deal. He next tweeted in defense of his Trump Foundation, which is being shut down amid accusations of a shocking pattern of illegality. In between, he tweeted a major foreign policy announcement with strategic importance to his allies and foes. The move has left him wide open to criticism from Democrats and Republicans. Republican Senator Marco Rubio tweeted that he had found someone who supported the decision. And the Russian embassy in the U.S. tweeted, the Mr. Cornyn said, "This is consistent with what the president has said. He wants to bring troops home, and only make sure that we commit troops where our national interests are in jeopardy." What is clear is that Mr. Trump is under fire on multiple fronts domestically. This decision today appears to go against the policy of Mr. Pompeo, the cabinet member he just had lunch with, but also his Defense Department and National Security Advisor. In September, National Security Advisor John Bolton told the UN that American soldiers would not withdraw from Syria as long as Iranian troops are outside Iranian borders, and that includes Iranian proxies and militias. He even declared Iran to be America's top counterterrorism priority. So why would American soldiers pull out from Syria, where they have reportedly been controlling the border access, preventing Iranian weapons from crossing Iraq into Syria and Lebanon? A senior administration official was left to tell reporters the exact opposite of what Mr. Bolton had said just a few months earlier. "I would say that the troops that we had in Syria were never there to counter-fight Iran." According to Mr. Kilcullen, the big winners today are ISIS, the Assad regime, and to very large extent, Iran. Topics: Donald Trump, unrest, conflict and war, community and society, government and politics, world politics, United States, Syrian Arab Republic. First posted December 20, 2018, 16 hours 1 minute and 35 seconds.